Friends, hello. The end is near. Boy, oh boy, let's talk about what's going on right now. So hopefully people, I think a lot of YouTubers made videos yesterday like, hey, this is a pre-warning, stuff is about to pop off. And obviously a lot about overseas going on, this whole Israel situation. I don't want to say too much, I don't want to get in trouble. And then obviously the port stuff that's going on in effect right now, and just everything else that's been going on, it's going on, and the market is like, it is like cliffhanger right now. The market's like, I'm trying here, I'm trying, but I don't think I'm going to make it. So with that, every stock was a huge sell-off today. I mean, just across the board. And Sofi, sweet Sofi, that's been trying to do something here with these, talk of rate cuts happening and more on the way. Sofi has been doing all it can to hold this 160. 160 is like the last little ledge here, and I believe, not if, but when we lose the 760 mark here on Sofi, we are going to see Sofi probably just continue to fall down the mountain here, and this is probably the week it's going to happen here. So friends, this is what is going on in the world today. We've got all this news going on. Like I said, I don't want to talk too much about what's going on overseas because YouTube is highly monitoring what people are saying about this lights in the sky situation overseas. But the port situation, and here's what's happening too. Still this week, it's only Tuesday. It's Tuesday in the market, and we still have to put out these job reports for last month, plus some other stuff that's probably going to damage the market. And it's not like we're going to, no one, even last Friday, no one was like, you know what, these job reports for September are probably going to be really good and turn the market around. We were all like, last week we were saying like, hey, this is probably not going to be a great week in the market. I mean, last week that's what we were saying. And this week it's like the apocalypse. So with that, be prepared for more sell-off here. Don't look at this as don't look at stocks right now, especially Sofi, and go like, what a piece of junk, what a piece of, and that's what I'm seeing. And I get why people are upset. I get that people can be mad right now, and this is what it is, man. This was the warning that everyone was talking about, everyone was worried about. But it was already a bad situation, but today it just multiplied with all the stuff happening right now. In this port situation, this is an ongoing situation that could get a lot worse and start to really bleed into the market, not to mention the stuff overseas. So with that, let's talk about Sofi and probably, man, what I believe Sofi is probably going to do here. Friends, Sofi, like I said, is holding on to this 760 mark. This is the last little bit. This is where it was struggling last time, and this is where it's struggling again here. I believe more than likely once Sofi loses this last little bit, there's no good news that's coming in the market. That's what you have to understand. There's not a knight in shining armor right now for the next few weeks. There's nothing happening. There only at this point is probably more devastation with all this stuff going on. They're not going to wrap up some kind of port deal here anytime soon. It's going to be a little bit of time. Hopefully sooner than later. The stuff overseas is not probably going to stop anytime soon. Then, like I said, this week we've still got reports coming out that will probably hurt the market. So I don't want to say the R word, the recession word, but if this doesn't trigger a recession in the market, it's gonna it's triggering something that's gonna be really close. We're about to see. This is just the tidbit of what's probably gonna be happening here. I hate saying, but there's probably gonna be a lot more sell-off in this market. Sofi, I believe, will probably go back down as long as the market continues to sell off here and more bad news comes out here day by day. Probably by Friday, if we see more devastation come out of this market, we could be back into a 730, even to a $6.90 at Sofi. These are very real possibilities. Now, here is what I do feel comfortable in. If we do see Sofi, I sold out of Sofi. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I sold out of Sofi last week because I saw what was coming. I saw this port stuff last week. I saw stuff last week was already popping off with overseas talking about what was going on. Those were two big things I didn't like. I knew the job reports thing was coming out this week and other stuff with Jerome Powell. And Jerome Powell already talked this week, but what he said, it really wasn't that encouraging. So I sold my position, but when I say I sold my position, it doesn't mean that I'm gone from Sofi whatsoever. It just means, hey, I sold at a higher rate last week when we saw SoFi do pretty well. In this week, I do believe SoFi is going to fall back down into this low 7, maybe high 6, and I'm going to buy back in. So if SoFi were to even go to that high 6, that $6.90, and I bought back in at that rate and it fell more, I would still feel very comfortable. I'm still okay with that. I'm still very good with that, because more than likely we hope what is going to happen here with greener grass on the other side is that things hopefully will straighten out. Hopefully this port situation will be taken care of. Probably not this week, but hopefully next week. God forbid the week after that. Although stuff will bleed into November, and that will affect the market. But that is a weird situation at this time because we've got this election coming up. And it's going to be very interesting to see how the election reflects into the market and how the market reflects from the election. It's going to be a very wild few weeks here. This is really, really crazy. But talking about SoFi specifically, listen, I could go over stocks all day where there's just deals. Nvidia went back down to 116 today. SoundHound cut in half. Palantir is holding on pretty good here. I mean, by the way, I don't want to talk too much about Palantir here, but you want to talk about a stock that is like standing on its own 2 feet. Palantir is doing amazing. It is standing right in the floodwaters and surviving. And there's plenty of other stocks that have held on today, but there's a lot of stocks that are taking damage. But this was just the first wave today with bad news. So imagine what's about to happen. A lot of this news came out earlier out into the day. The port situation hit early this morning. Then this whole overseas situation started to really take effect later into the day. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we've got a whole day of the market, and there's nothing that should really save the market tomorrow. Then we've got job report coming out this week. We've got some other meetings coming out. Stuff that should not really be that good of news. It just shouldn't. So this is the huge recipe for disaster. One thing that should bring you clarity. Listen, this is prime time to really, if you've been looking for a moment to get into stocks, but get into SoFi especially, this is probably going to be the week. This week or next week. I don't see this mess being cleaned up here anytime soon. So this week, like I said, I am personally, with this moment in time, I am hoping that SoFi bleeds down to a low 7. I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to be honest, because this could be a last moment we see SoFi at these prices. It possibly could be, because they're going to do more rate cuts, man. They're going to do more rate cuts here sooner. They have to at this point. They're going to do more rate cuts. We're going to have this election. January will bring a bull market regardless, because it'll be a 1, 2, 3 bull market. It'll be like, hey, there's a new leader, and the stock market will do well, and blah blah. But too, with that, we're going to be deep into these rate cuts, a little deeper into rate cuts. Then we're going to be into a new year. We're going to be into new earnings. SoFi is about to have another earnings here. At the beginning of November, we're going to see a lot of earnings with a lot of companies that will finish out pretty much what's going to be happening here this year. So there's a lot that's about to happen here. But don't look at this right now at the stock market and go, oh my God, I lost X amount of money today. Everyone lost money today, okay? It's not like you're doing something wrong here. Look at this as an opportunity to start averaging down, to buy into new positions, to take advantage of the market. Take advantage. Every book I've read that has to do with millionaires or listening to interviews with millionaires, they always say the same thing. They say, when there isn't an opportunity and you have the advantage, take it. This is that moment. Whether you have $20, $100, $1,000, $20,000, take opportunity while you have the advantage. This is a situation. Don't look at this as well, the market's going to be down forever. The market's done. People that don't understand the market or don't know the market will say that. If you've been in the market for at least a year, 6 months, you start to see patterns. But you should know that this market will clean itself up. It will go on. As long as this world is spinning, it will go on. SoFi is going to have a banging year in 2025. It's coming. It's not going to be avoided. SoFi is going to have a good year. That's what we know. That's why every analyst is hyping it up. That's why every YouTuber is hyped about it. Because we know SoFi is going to have a really good 2025. Friends, look at this as opportunity. There's not much more I want to say here. We're all in the same boat together. Don't look at this as you're doing something wrong or you're just sick of SoFi. SoFi is trying its best, and honestly, SoFi is doing really good. SoFi is surviving. It's trying to hold its neck up here, but SoFi it's waiting on two big things. It's waiting on these rate cuts to really kick in, and it's waiting on a healthy economy. And we don't have those two things lining up right now, and it's a problem for SoFi, a company, a stock that was destroyed during the pandemic. And honestly, that's really in the past just 2 years got its cojones together. It's got its act together, and it's focused. It knows what it's doing. It's growing immensely fast. Know that you're doing the right thing when you're staying or buying into SoFi. Friends, I'll talk to you soon. Best of luck to all of us. It's going to be a wild week. It's going to be wild. Take care, everyone.